paper. His notes were on point, so he knew every receiver in the league, every route they ever ran. So I just started picking up on those little things, taking film home, and just taking the job seriously, not hanging out, not going out. And I wasn't friends with anybody. Back then, we wasn't friends with anybody. If you were the Philadelphia Eagles, that was it. We didn't like the Cowboys, the Redskins. Heck, we didn't like our parents sometimes. Man. We were just a gritty bunch of guys. So just being disciplined enough, and then when I got my opportunity to play with 49ers, I think I got in like the third quarter, and obviously Jerry Rice was still out there. He had scored like 2 touchdowns already, broke a record. They're carrying him off on the field, and I just hear him saying, hey, this is that rookie everybody was talking about. He's like, this is about to be even easier. So, that's just, I can't say what I said to him on the radio, but, just little stuff like that, man. I just had to learn and, go through the tough times, and it paid off for me.
You talk about those learning experiences and the growing pains. I think we saw that firsthand last year with Jakorian Bennett. But you've seen it. You've personally lived it, going through growing pains and then becoming the player that you eventually became. So I don't think it's time to write Jakorian Bennett off whatsoever, especially going into year 2 as early as it is in his program. What are your expectations for Jakorian, especially knowing that everyone that you talk to, Jakorian wants it, and he is a student of the game, and he's got the physical skills without question. Do you expect him to get back to where he was and grow from his higher points of last year?
Yeah, the coaching changes, the culture around the team, that all affects the player too. And he was a young guy. He really didn't have any leadership on the back end. He was injured a little bit. So, when you go through that stuff as an NFL player, so many highs and so many lows that go through your mind. And I saw it last year in camp, and I was like, wow, this kid is really impressive. So, it takes time. I know when these guys get drafted, second, third, first round, we want to put so much pressure on them to be the player that they were in college and come into the NFL and do it. You got guys who've been there 7, 8 years that's got a gang of experience. So I'm looking forward to him to turn the corner, block out all the noise, and, another year under his belt. People understand, man, playing quarterback in the National Football League, especially nowadays, with the way the game is played, is extremely hard for defensive backs because you really can't be physical at the run scrimmage.
Well, with a guy like Nate Hobbs, for example, 2021 draft pick, fifth round, he is now somebody that is consistently relied upon because he's always in the mix. Now, as his contract is coming up, he is not unlike Trayvon Merritt and Malcolm Kuntz. How important is it for the Raiders to now extend Nate Hobbs, and what have you seen in his game that has matured to this next level?
When Nate Hobbs is healthy, he's one of the best inside corners in the game. He's physical. He'll go in, he'll blitz. He's a really good tackler. He's played on the outside as well, so it's real. It's rare that you can get a guy that can play inside and outside, but I'm sure Patrick Graham has a lot of good things that he can put in for Nate Hobbs because he knows he can put him around the line of scrimmage and force as well, and use the corners on the outside to lock guys down. This is a very important year for Nate Hobbs. And when you know your last year is up, I think I had one of my best years in my third year instantly because I knew my contract was up. So, well, guys know when that contract is up in your last year, you really got to get after it. And healthy Nate Hobbs is a big plus for the Raiders.
He is without question, and. Then when Jack Jones, came onto the scene, I think it changed everything in the Raiders secondary, especially at the cornerback position. He's a player, Mark, that I believe has a chance to be great, not just good but great. But I think that there's some things that he still needs to iron out in terms of the not necessarily the maturity, but being locked in, play out. Rep in, rep out, everything that is required to be a great professional football player. But if he gets to that point where the lock-in and the buy-in and the focus is where it needs to be, how good can he possibly be?
He could be one of the best. Like I said, he could be one of the best inside corners in the game. I think he does well. I think he does better inside because he's a physical guy and he's reliable. When he's hurt, that you can see the defense take a step back. But when he's healthy and in the game and engaged, and just talking to Nate Hobbs, that he wants it. He has that dog mentality. He's not going to back down for anybody, and you have to love that. and then you bring over Josh Jones, and you implement him into the program, and just the whole culture of the defense. I think guys really picked it up. They rallied behind Pierce, and I guarantee guys are looking for the Raiders defense to be much improved and kind of be even better than they was toward the end of the season. And Nate Hobbs is going to be a big key for that process for those guys to move forward.
What do you think the ceiling is for Jack?
Jack, man, even coming out of Long Beach, being in college, he's always been a guy with unbelievable talent. The ceiling is so high for this young man. Hopefully he locks in and buys into what they have, Coach Grant has for these guys, and just leave the street stuff, leave those guys behind. Just focus on your teammates, lock in, and if you really want to win and do something special, I think Josh Jones could be one of the top corners in the league. He's lanky, he takes chances, he makes big plays, and with Graham's defense, those are things that he's going to be looking for. These guys to be able to play man on the outside. You got Wilkinson and you got Max coming up off the corner. It makes those guys' job a lot easier. And if they don't realize that, you don't have to cover as long as with Reggie White was on our side. I was like, man, I won't have to cover for maybe a second, maybe a half a second.
We're speaking with Mark McMillan, DrillandMcMillan.com, also with Camp 29. We'll talk about that in just a second. We outlined how there were a couple of opponents on the Raiders' schedule that have holes in their wide receiver group, one of them being the Chargers. First game of the year, week 1. How can the Raiders secondary take advantage of a new offensive regime and also wide receivers that aren't there anymore? Mike Williams is not there, Keenan Allen, and it'll be Ladd McConkey, a rookie, and guys like Jalen Guyton that Justin Herbert's going to go to. What can the secondary do to take advantage of that?
Be physical with those guys. Harbaugh's going to want to run the ball. So you got to bow your neck, lock up on the outside, and then, just I always say just smack these guys in the mouth. You've got to come off the ball and set the tempo early. You want to get some wins under your belt. Everybody knows Kansas City is the cream of the crop still, and everybody's chasing those guys. But the Raiders have beat those guys. They beat the Chiefs this year and Kansas City. So they know they have a good nucleus that they can knock off the champs. But they got to buy into it and, put all the hype away from last year and just focus on what they can do this year. Because last year, there's a lot of stuff going on. If they come out this year, smoking on guns, old Cassie Pan's going to be ready over there.
Yes, he will. Yes, he will. And, at the same time, we talk about Camp 29 and all the great work that you have done throughout your life, helping younger student athletes go a little further. And that includes in all sports, but especially in football. For Camp 29, as will be taking place this weekend in Philadelphia, what's it like for you to get back and always connect with younger players? Because each and every year you see some of the young faces that you helped coach, whether it was from the Blue-Gray showcases and Blue-Gray camps to now Camp 29 your own, and they make it to the next level, into college and into the NFL.
It's exciting to see, and obviously, I have a strong tie here in Pennsylvania. I want to continue to do this and continue to raise the bar. A lot of kids, when they see me come out to the camp, they're shocked at how tall I am really not. They're like, wow, you're really like 5'7". And I'm like, hey, anything can be done. You put your work to it, you put your mind to it. Surround yourself with good, positive people. Watch what you're posting on social media. For these college coaches, they have interns who watch your social media. So some of these coaches are looking at ways to not recruit you because they want to have good, positive people come through their program. And that's something I tell these kids, man, once you put sin on social media, you can't get it back. So seeing some of these guys being able to play on Saturdays and Sundays is a big it's almost like eating a cheesesteak, Vinny, man. I tell these kids, I don't want anything from them. I just like to see these kids get on TV and, when I go to the games, I always like to see people are always like, why are you on the opposing team sideline? So a lot of the kids that I've coached are all on the opposing team. So I just like to go over there and just see them, man, and shake their hands and get a picture with them, get a selfie. Yeah. And it's just worth to be able to see that, man, to see these kids being successful and seeing their parents' faces smile when they see me like 15 years later, like, wow, he's still doing what he did for my son years ago. So that's a reward, man. I just want to use my platform to the best that I can. And this Saturday, I'll be hosting my camp. We moved to Clipper Magazine Stadium, so it's a minor league stadium. So we moved to a bigger stadium in Lancaster, so I'm excited about that. And I'll be throwing out the first pitch on Tuesday night at the baseball game. So I'm working on the fastball too, man. if you throw it in the dirt, man, I might get booed.
Yeah, because Lancaster, they have a high standard over there. They don't want to lose to the Iron Pigs of Lehigh. Yeah, but at the same time, do you ever get requests to teach people in your technique of how to tackle and hit? Because when you played the game, you were the hardest hitter in the game. That's why you won the All-Madden Award. John Madden lost his mind when he saw the ferocious hits you used to lay on people.
I didn't have a choice, man. When you're in that defense, man, the film didn't lie. And, if you made a bad play, Bud Carson had the red dot, the little red pin, and he will point you out. And you know what? Last thing you want to do is upset 10 other guys who've been breaking their neck to get these opponents down. So parents, nowadays it's a different ball game. And even when I go to training camp and see you guys out there now, it's like there's no contact. It's like they're hitting plastic bags, they're hitting dummies, and then when you get to the game, you got to go full speed and hit a live human. And that's probably some of the reasons these guys get hurt as well, because you can't really tackle or have physical contact in practice nowadays.
Well, thank you, Mark, for coming in on a busy week for you. Thank you so much for sharing that insight. We really appreciate it. We love your work with Camp 29 and up at GrillandMcMillan.com. We wish you the best of luck this weekend and a safe travel back home here in Las Vegas.
I appreciate it. I'm going to take a picture with a nice cheesesteak or a rib in my mouth with a nice, cold, refreshing beer from Trogs, baby.
I want to see it live vicariously through you, Mark.
I appreciate you guys always having me on, man.
All right, thank you.